So, Endgame Imperial Knives is achieved. I brought you a little bit of gameplay. I just got some of the wisps here in a map, just with a lot of pack size. The map itself isn't all that interesting or anything. Just wanted to show a bit how clear possibly kind of looks like in a map that has a bunch of pack size and a bunch of wisps on it. As that is probably rather interesting right now for people, as everybody's playing wisps and these monsters get really tanky, to be fair. So this is roughly wisp level type of gameplay. It's pretty much one tapping, even rares for the most part. It depends a bit if our Nimbus Imperial Knives, the fake one, the lingering blade one, is actually hitting the enemies or not. For the most time, this is fine. As you can see, you kind of look for a bigger pack. There's a pack here, you kind of one-tap this, and stuff around you should technically die. Maybe the guy on the left that didn't actually hit. But typically the proliv and everything takes care of it, and it's hitting pretty much everything. Then in terms of, yeah, that's how this looks like roughly, and I brought you the example thing, which is a white Minotaur with nothing on it. I know it's super boring, right? But I believe it's a great example to compare DPS, and I stand by that. I think you should always include white Minotaurs into, yeah, comparison stuff, so people can get a little bit of an idea how in terms of damage profile and everything builds are functioning. So here we don't have any wisps, and it's obviously absolutely devastating everything on a single tap of a mouse button. We just get to our Minotaur real quick. Really far. So there's a Minotaur guy. He kind of disappears. And then he's dead. And that's how the build looks like. I put here a little bit more of gameplay at the end. There is like a high quant Drox. I don't know, it's definitely above 80, maybe it's 85, maybe it's 90, I forgot. Drox there, and I put one of the invitations I did there at the very end as well, if you would like to see a little bit more gameplay, a little bit more challenging gameplay as well. Anyway, that's basically my character. I'm gonna go over the character thing now. I made a bunch of progress, kind of finished, I want to say. Like, a character is never finished, but this is pretty much my endgame version. I'm gonna show you around a little bit and then go into some of the choices I made that might be a bit unconventional, meant for a lot of quality of life and more defensive and, in my opinion, interesting choices that are possible with the new league mechanic charms and this weird jewel. Anyway, since last time, I don't even know where the character was. I believe the rares are all the same. So we still have our helmet here, rather basic one for endgame. Same with the boots, and not too interesting either. They have the movement speed thing. Other than that, they have the chance to avoid ailments, which is like an elevated kind of, it's called, how's it called, exquisite, implicit. So they're a bit harder to get. The one was really annoying. Then I upgraded my amulet. It's basically still damage over time, cast speed by, and leechcraft by it. I added the +1 all. It's not a +2 one yet, and I do not have a simplex amulet for probably obvious reasons, because they're incredibly expensive. So yeah, upgraded this one here. By now I also have my endurance charge craft back on it, so that's a way how we get endurance charges, 1 minimum, and some more at least while mapping. Not so much while bossing, because you need to kill stuff, it's like on kill, but that's one of the things that has endurance charges here. The chest is still the same, it's a +2 chest. I didn't really get a +4 chest yet, because you can actually get projectile plus duration, because we are using the lingering blade version that has both tags, but it's a bit difficult to get a +4 at the moment. not that important. I have 2 of the slightly cheaper daggers. I do not have chaos damage over time multiplier fractures because they're like 10, 12 divines when I made them. So this is significantly cheaper. Still very hard to make these. Honestly, it's like really annoying, and for this one it went really well. I hit the harvest craft that removes one, like this 1 in 4 fail chance immediately on the first dagger. That went really well. Multi-crafted it on the second dagger. I failed it 2 times in a row. That was very, very expensive fails, to be fair. And then this one here popped up on the market. I only had to change the crafted mods. Everything else was already done. This one is chaos damage over time multiplier, but it's a lower roll, so it's pretty much the same as the damage over time one here. This one popped up for 12, 13 divines, and I just bought this one instead of retrying and possibly failing again. So yeah, technically there went a lot of currency into the daggers because of the failed crafts. These are obviously a huge amount of the damage upgrade from the cold iron points that have been there before. I got a Nimbus, obviously. That helps a lot. That's basically double damage almost, because we don't need returning projectiles anymore, and the returnings here do full ailment damage. Makes a huge difference, and you obviously get this nice and easy clear, you know, where you don't have to aim anywhere, it's shooting somewhere. However, because we need to use the lingering blade versions, they are just dead spaces, so that can significantly reduce your DPS depending on how lucky you are. But yeah, so much about that. Somebody wants to buy this. Give me a second. Yeah, Nimbus. Really good. Really good thing. Yeah, you should get a Nimbus. I'm confused now. Where was I? Yeah, get a Nimbus. They're expensive, but they're fine. Also, I have a high dex version, so I'm barely still above 300 dex right now. That was kind of important at that moment, and then I realized I could also have catalyzed it, so went for a cheaper one. Doesn't really matter. And in this case, I also got a Asenath Gentle Touch with the increased cast speed fracture. No, not fracture, corruption on here. That's pretty cool. Same belt still. Doesn't even have resist. I moved the resist over here, and I don't have the spell suppression here. I have it on one of my charms. That made everything way easier. Same Mings, and yeah, the same kind of belt here. In terms of gems, I have full awakened gems now, including the awakened spell echo. I have quality on every single gem where it matters. I don't have it on the 21s typically, except for here, obviously. But yeah, not on the Herald of Agony, doesn't really matter there. I don't have it here either, and I don't have it on my grace and stuff anyway, because it wouldn't even do anything. It just makes more AoE, as you can see here. This one as well, so doesn't matter there. But yeah, everything else has quality. I got 2 enhanced gems. They don't really do all that much. One is for Dread Banner. It's just because I had the space, and the other one is for Steel Skin, Plague Bearer, and Despair. Technically, it does a little bit, but not really. Let's be fair. It's not that great. In terms of flasks, they're still pretty much the same. I have the very basic flask. They're not perfect, but they're by far good enough. I swap out my silver flask for a divine life flask kind of thing in cases where I do like uber-bossing or like really just pure bossing, which I don't do much anyway. There I like to have some actually ability to regain life again in case I fail mechanics, which I do very often. So I just, swap these 2 out, and then I'm good with that. I'm also interested in, or I'm thinking about if I should possibly drop something, maybe the cast speed here, and get curse immunity or reduce the effect of curses on it, because with all the flask effect and things like that, it might not be too bad. Or maybe on this one and move the region over here. I'm kind of unsure. Would be cool, because if I do not have curse immunity, that's one of the immunities I do not have. I have a lot of others though, and I can show you around a little bit on choices I made and that impact that. I still have the 300% increased poison damage here for the first poison. It's basically double damage for 1 tapping, right? You basically get the 2 curses act like 4, because the first one is 3 times as strong. So that's kind of interesting. It's really cool for clear. You could also go for enemies poisoned but you cannot deal crits. That would be really cool, I think. Anyway, I took it here. Like, here's my kind of, it's not crit immunity, but it's reducing extra crit damage by quite a bit. Could go for crit immunity right here instead. That would be cool. This would be something you could swap on like pure bossing, where the first poison really doesn't matter. There would be an option to swap that around if you're struggling with like uber bosses or something like that. Other than that, I got one of the new jewels here. It doesn't actually do all that much. It looks a little bit better than it is. It's great. The hexproof enemies, right? So that just allows for an additional map mod. Really liking that. The energy shield region does almost nothing. Yeah, it looks way better than it actually is. It's almost nothing. It's like 20 energy shield or something that it's actually giving you. The unaffected by bleeding while leeching is kind of cool, even though, to be fair, we already have steel skin, and that's already giving us immunity to bleeding. This is kind of doubling down on it, because it's more or less always active as long as we can hit any enemy. So that's basically the two ones, the hexproof one and the bleeding one. The chance to block is not useless, but it's also doing very, very little. Really liking this one, kind of cool. Some more, defensive choices, no offensive stuff in here. I have my leech node here, I have it on the tree right now. I got a hypnotic jewel. That's like one of the abyss jewels here, and that is mainly for the phasing. That's the way how I get my phasing on kill now. It's only 6% versus I believe 18 or something. That is on the new charms, but that's perfectly enough while mapping. That's the only case I needed. So many enemies, you kill them. That's cool. Got a little bit life on it, a little bit damage over time as well. That's on these two. If you go over here, I have a new one of these corrupted blood jewels. It doesn't do much. It has a little bit of reduced mana cost of skills. I would like to have a little bit more in total. Obviously, I have a bunch of my flask as well, but I can technically run out of energy shield if I get the chance as a really big boss to stand there for a long time and just fire away. Then I can technically run out of energy shield. Not that important. Ideally, this would be 5% and maybe another 5% somewhere else, but this is perfectly good enough. And other than that, it's just corrupted blood and some elemental resistance fixes. Just puts me over the edge. So a bit of a wasted slot here. Could have a bunch more potential. I upgraded my Watcher's Eye. I didn't go with one with more damage. I went with Malevolence that makes us poison immune. So we have poison immunity as well by now, which is really cool. Because the recovery isn't too great anyway, unless we are killing stuff. So that's really helping against, in case we get poisoned a lot. Upgraded to a 7% evade thing here. Which is helping slightly. I have my balance of terror, obviously. It has a pretty comparatively high all res on it. Over here we have Ancestral Vision still. That's how we get ailment immunity into the build. Down here is nothing, and here is a Lethal Pride, obviously with our here, is it here? Yes, 5% first taken as fire, and another 5% here, so very, very useful. This one is just burning damage, it doesn't do anything. On the charms, I finally got proper charms, the ones I wanted. The ones I settled for are Culling Strike and also Stun Immunity. Like, we have so many immunities by now, it's really cool. I'm really liking that, except for Curse. So that's also why I really want to have Curse Immunity, to have like all the immunities that ever existed, basically. But yeah, mainly Culling Strike is here cool, and yeah, Stun Immunity is also great, so you don't die. There is a one with chance to suppress spell damage. That's to make the boots easier. I just moved it off the gear. I'm getting Frenzy on hit, which is really cool because it also works while bossing. You don't need to kill anything for it. And 4% on this attack speed and hit rate is gets you up to 3 charges very quickly. And the last one, I'm fixing Strength and Int on this one. And that actually removes these 2 points here. Typically you would have these, so that freed up these points, and I'm only 97 right now. So that's very helpful. I think that's a good use of this charm. And I have the increased poison duration per recently inflicted poison, which gives a huge amount of damage, at least in PoB, but it's obviously duration damage, right? So yeah, we can go into PoB then in a second to have a look at the damage and then figure out, yeah, how realistic it is, because it's a big number. Yeah, that's basically my overall amount of choices. So we have a bunch of immunities everywhere for pretty much everything. It's really curses and some hinder and whatever you could also get, but curses are the main thing. Other than that, in terms of progress, I have 132 points by now. I did every single map. It's all done. Had to buy the Twilight Temple. Actually, I rolled this one with almost 100 reports on Keurig. Got lucky there. I did the Feared, obviously. I rolled them again, and this time went way better. It was pretty easy by now. So the Feared are done. All the points are done. So basically, that's beating the game. Other than that, I started doing challenges, and in terms of progress people care about, I did a bunch of Ubers. Just a little bit earlier today, I did 4 of them. I attempted a 5th actually. I attempted Searing Exarch, but I just can't handle the ball phase. It's just killing me. And I run into these runes and I just die. It's like I'm not made for this. So scratch that one. And yeah, I did the other 4. I also failed the Cortex once. I bricked one Cortex. It sadly rolled with 80% chance to avoid poison on my enemies. So that one was a bit bad. If it doesn't roll dead, the second one was way better. It just had a lot of damage on enemies, but it doesn't really matter too much. But they didn't have any defense modifiers, so they die very quickly. So 4 of the Ubers are down. I do not plan to do any of the others, honestly. At least not very soon, honestly. It's a bit hard to do them for me. I'm really bad at them, and the build doesn't allow you to like just face tank it, right? You can take a bunch of hits and a bunch of different things, but anything that is like a slam or like anything that's supposed to be deadly still kills you, so you have to play mechanics, and you know, not really my type of content anyway. So yeah, Ubers are basically done, at least for the challenges, 4 of them. So yeah, the build can do Ubers in case that's, at least at this stage, in case somebody's worried about that. And other than that, I've, stopped making currency for quite a while. I sold my Mirror Shard. I still have some left over here. Also dropped a Bottled Faith, by the way. But I sold my Mirror Shard at 24, I believe, divines. Invested something a little bit more into my build. I wanted to finish it. And I have a little bit left, a little bit more now, because some of the stuff replaced the selling. So yeah, I stopped doing currency strats, and I went for challenges, honestly. I'm already at 24, and I have a bunch of them all almost completed. Like, for example, these Eldritch ones here, they are getting really close. Expedition is already close. Beyond is close, Expedition close. Even goddamn Ultimatum, except for these inscribed ones. Like, you can't really buy them, it seems like, and they're hard to get, and I got the Trial Master, at least. I was really lucky there. So yeah, we will see. We'll focus a little bit on those, maybe make a new character, play something completely different. For a while, I was really sick of running the forest and then dusting a lot of monsters and then just killing that, and then the screen is full of loot. And I know it sounds weird, but I didn't find it too engaging after a while. It was fun for a few days, but very repetitive, not that interesting, and personally don't get too much dopamine out of a screen full of loot and hearing the loot filter. I, over time, find it rather annoying that loot filters are so loud. Some kind of turn off sound at some point, and then just, yeah. Make some currency is enough currency anyway for the entire league. The character is basically done. The only thing I would really like is the Simplex Amulet. That's like the last thing, and I believe this one is still level 3. Yeah, this will level up. But getting my hands on a Simplex Amulet, that would be crazy good. That would be so much more damage. So yeah, that's fine. Other than that, let's look, or let's have a look into PoB. character. This is also what I will post you below. I just wanted to go a little bit over the damage, because you see on the bottom left, we have achieved got a DoT cap. It's a poison build, so a little of caveats with that. And yes, it can have DoT cap if the stars align and everything. Then that is quite possible. So like, if everything would be perfect, POB, DPS, which is not real, then we do have DoT cap and normal pinnacle stuff, and we have like 10-12 million on Uber DPS. In terms of what it feels like, because that's also kind of important, it feels like a 20 million DPS build on normal bosses. It's roughly, or like a seismic with 20 million, 25 million, that's roughly how it feels like. Problem with poison builds is always, like what is giving us so much damage here. We're assuming here frenzy and endurance charges. You're not going to have endurance charges on bosses, except there are any minions you can kill and you get some charges, so that's kind of wonky. Doesn't make that big of a difference anyway. Leeching is totally fine. We can always be leeching. That's super cool. Poison applied recently. That's the new charm. We would need to apply 34 poisons in order to have this increased element duration, which is quite possible if you're kind of consistently hitting. Maybe you have more than one target around or something. That's perfectly fine. It's still going to take you a few seconds to get there, and depends on how lucky you are. Can you even stand there for a few seconds and attack? And then also this whole thematic that every tap, like a POB is assuming that every attack actually hits the enemy, and with that little amount of projectiles and the Nemesis, I wouldn't say that's always happening. So you can probably already like reduce 10, 20, maybe even more % from your damage, because Nemesis is not 100% actually going to hit the enemy you wanted to. So there's quite some caveat in there, but assuming this is true, then would be that. But it also means, and that's super important, that is a poison duration of 7 seconds. So like, we reach DoT cap after undisturbed with Val haste and everything, attacking for 7 seconds. So yeah, it's like, it's not gonna happen. But in theory, if the stars align, that would be possible. Attacked recently is fine. That's mostly for this tiny bit of block chance here. So yeah, it's like a tiny difference somewhere here. And we do have an attack, by the way. That's Whirling Blades. Does actually attack. Enemy is actually poisoned. The same with Wither stacks. You can always argue, do we actually have 15 Wither stacks? Honestly, with this cast rate and this amount of things, I think 15 Wither stacks, to have them rather quickly, is quite reasonable. That is actually fair in here. Other differences here, obviously count 2, that's pretty fair. If you hit an enemy once, then the returning is also going to hit them. That's fine. Obviously, you have to enable haste as well, probably. But yeah, Val haste makes a huge difference. If you don't have that one, then your cast rate is going down by quite a bit. You're not going to have this all the time. And for defenses, you do not have steel skin all the time. With quality, it's way more often and everything, but you do not always have steel skin. Keep that a little bit in mind. Maybe in big boss fights, you don't even want it on left click. You might want to use it manually there. And yeah, everything else should actually be quite consistent. And yeah, that's basically the thing about damage here. It's poison damage. Okay, you need to figure out yourself how to calculate and how you want to view all of that. But technically, if the stars aligned, this is DoT cap, and I'm gonna put you the POB into the description so you can check that out. That's pretty much it. I feel like that's all I wanted to talk about. That's some of the tries I made. I like the new league mechanic in terms of how much like quality of life it allows you to get, which is really cool, and how it moves stuff around. It's a bit sad that it's only this one, basically. Or maybe it's great, actually, because I like this one. That's pretty cool. Allowed me to make a few choices. If I get my next 3 levels, there isn't too much I want on the tree. I'm not entirely sure yet what I will get or would get, but probably purely defensive stuff. I mean, there's one here. And there's 2 more here that just give me life. Maybe I'm just gonna go for some more life and that's it. Or maybe a frenzy charge. Who knows? Anything in that direction. Other than that, that's it for the character. Probably not going to evolve unless I get a simplex amulet, which is unlikely. And I'm gonna do challenges now and then maybe come up with some different characters I wanted to play, some mechanics I wanted to try out. I wanted to have a look at the new heist. Also might go delving. I wanted to do that for like 2 leagues now and never really did. So maybe it's a good time now. But this one is finished. And yeah, my endgame version. I posted the POB. You can get inspiration from that and also from PoE Ninja. And if you want to be significantly more tanky, then I highly suggest you go to PoE Ninja and you look for Ethereal Knives Pathfinders that do have the Ultimatum Shield Mahuk Subtle, however it's pronounced, equipped. And then you can have a look at these. These are the Petrified, Blood, Transcendence, Blood Notch builds. Incredibly tanky builds, really, really cool. And with enough investment, they actually reach dot cap easily. And yeah, if you want to interested in that direction, then I highly suggest you have a look at those. Cool. Happy holidays, guys. Bye.
My mana is gone. I'm not up to that just yet.
The prize piece comes to join. Do what I say.
Pain will be returned tenfold. Space aligns. Behold my connection.
I will have what I want. It will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Stand still. A cascade of pain.
Death made real.
Why?
Resistance will